Just take a seat wherever you want. You can fly in the air. You can be wherever. I personally don't really like how like what is it called, straight these seats are. So because like it's kind of like being in a bus itself, being on a bus ride. So if you guys want, you can sit in each other's laps. You can be in the ceiling. You can be on the lamp. You can be wherever you guys want. You can even be with the stage with me also if you guys want to, but that might give you some sense of like anxiety. But yeah, I'm gonna take some sip of water, and it seems that we are 2 minutes over. Whoopa, hit something. Right there. So at the moment we have 4 people over here. That's wonderful to see. I think I have to say the dedication of merit at the end, but maybe later on I can ask Kumari Buddha, like was I supposed to do it at the start and the end, or vice versa, or what? But yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to Sambo Kaya Samga. I always forget how to say the world's names itself because it's so hard to say. But Shoshin temple, usually people talk about this. But this is a Samga, so but like not an official one, of course. But Samga is like an actual Buddhist term for like the places where people actually practice Buddhism itself, for like monks and nuns, like in different forms of Buddhism. But this one is like more like a virtual, like more free flowing, a secular place where people can just take practices and take notes from the practice of Buddhism and what it has to offer for Western people. My name is Risto. Very nice to meet you guys. And I had some topics to talk about, but there's not a lot of people over here. But it doesn't really matter. It's better even to have less people, because then I can kind of focus on you guys a little bit more. Because I was thinking, like, what kind of things would I like to talk about at the first time itself, like when I'm doing kind of this officially. But I was just wondering that, like, maybe I would like to start by understanding that who are the people who have just joined me on this occasion. So this is an open, like the first 30 minutes is an open, wholesome conversation. What it means, like the wholesomeness part is maybe something that maybe not a lot of people might understand what I mean by it. But by wholesomeness, I mean the true essence of wholesomeness. It's not only like cutesy, fun stuff, but it also means, in its true sense, like acts and moral ethics that you have that are that are based in non-regretment. So you don't regret, doing acts or having moral ideas about some topics. And that's like the basis of like wholesomeness. So the open wholesome talks are mostly like talks that we don't really regret having, and they're more like actually talks that people need to hear in itself. So during these talks, I've been wondering like what kind of topics I could like talk about, and there's so many topics about Buddhism itself, because I've been practicing and studying Buddhism as a religion itself for a year and a half now. But I want to offer it as a secular point of view, because of course I'm not here to convert anyone, because I love the essence of secular Buddhism podcasts, starting text that they had on their podcast. I don't know if people know it, but it's a secular Buddhism podcast. It's like a podcast where there's a person, Noah Rashada, a really famous secular Buddhist, who has talks about like Buddhism itself. And you may come in, like, don't it doesn't matter if you're late or like if you're early, you can come whenever you want. But in his podcasts, he really wants to emphasize that don't use Buddhism to become Buddhist, but use Buddhism to become better whatever you already are. So just nitpicking and picking the best cherries from the practice itself of the philosophical ideas that help you the most in your life, those should be picked out from that. So when I speak over here and when I have these kind of wholesome conversations over here, I want you guys to reflect on them and then see, like, and judge for yourself, like, if you guys want to carry this with you or not. It's up to you. It's your life and so on. But nice to see that there's more people joining me at the moment. This session itself is streamed on Twitch, so just keep that in mind. But I wanted to have this entire first lecture itself, like, on the people around me, like, who I have, because like these are meant to be kind of open, where we have an actual conversation about topics. And the first topic would be like, I would love to have it like about you guys, like, what makes you you and so on, but mainly about like this practice itself. And I was wondering what kind of questions I would like to ask you guys, but I would like to perhaps start with the essence of what are you guys seeking for, and what is the motivation behind what are you seeking. This might be a little bit deep, but we can even put the next 20 minutes into this, that whoever wants to could tell me, like, what are you guys seeking for. And okay, Sonia is seeking for emotional stability. Because like it also helps me to understand that, like, that who are the people who are listening to me. How about you, Sadako? What do you seek for? Do you mind if I ask?
Inner peace.
Inner
I'm
peace?
trying to find myself here. I'm trying to find my... what do you call it? Wait. Let me think.
Take your time. There's no hurry in here.
Like, I want to know what my full potential is. If that explains it, maybe.
Yeah, it does. But what is your motivation behind this? Why are you seeking for getting the full potential and having inner peace?
I don't know, man. I really don't.
You just woke up a random day and then, like, you just decided that, hey, I want to have inner peace immediately, right now. And then you go to McDonald's and you're like, oh no, there's not on the menu.
Yeah, like kinda a friend of mine introduced me into this, and after like my first session, I was like, damn, I wanna do this again, and after the second time, it was like quite nice, and yeah.
I'm happy to hear that you have had a wonderful time over here, and I hope that it stays this way. How about Jessix? How it's how do you say even your name? Your new name?
It's Jexi.
Jexi, yeah, Jexi. Okay. Do you mind if I ask you what are you seeking for? Like in general, about the entire life that you're having at the moment.
At the moment, I'm looking for financial independence.
Financial independence?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because of family issues, right? There's a lot of money issues, and I just want to be able to tell my family that, hey, I'm good on my own. I can help if I can, but I'm good. You don't have to worry about me.
That sounds extremely, like, how do you say, freedom-based. That you're basically putting it on freedom itself. That you have your own freedom in your own life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who else? Is there anyone else that wants to tell me that, like, what are you guys seeking for? And what is the motivation behind it? It's alright if you guys don't want to.
Maybe me.
Yeah, you could tell me.
Okay. I think I seek some remedy for anxiety, and I heard meditation can help. Well,
Like,
I tried some meditation. Yes.
no, I was just, I didn't really hear what you said. Like, what are you seeking for? I'm sorry.
For some remedy for anxiety, and also I'm a bit curious about all this stuff.
But, like, what do you mean by that? Help me to understand what do you mean by that.
Yeah. Okay. I heard that meditation can reduce anxiety and stuff, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, anxiety, yeah.
Well, I tried it when I was a teenager, but I was alone and it sucked to practice it alone, to try it from scratch alone. So I thought I could practice it with people around. And also I seek wholesomeness. Like I met you before sometime and you seem nice. I want to
That makes me
know
flustered.
more about you, I think.
Personally opening up about.
Yeah.
Oh no. Not the best place on stream. But yeah, that's wonderful to hear. I'm happy to hear that. It actually makes me happy. But yeah, like, you want to reduce your anxiety, and the reason why is that, like, you just want to be freed from it.
Freed from it? I guess anxiety is not the best feeling to experience often.
All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to digest all of this info. How about Royal? Do you mind telling, like, what are you seeking for? It's all right if you don't want to. If you're just here simply to observe. Oh, okay. Yeah. And it's maybe, or it might be quite simple, like, the reason why you're seeking what you're seeking for. It might not be like that complicated to understand. Because it's an entire, like, extremely uncomfortable feeling to have. But, like, these are, like, your main, like, emotions, or, like, main things that you're seeking for like, getting out of your life. But how about Gavin? Do you mind telling, like, what do you seek for? It's alright if you don't want to. You're muted, by the way, if you're trying to talk. But yeah, you don't need to. Yeah. How about Hiromi? Could you ask Hiromi what are they seeking for? Yeah. They are Korean, so they don't understand what I'm saying over here. They just. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, he's not there. Oh, okay. But yeah, this is really interesting that, like, if you're, like, boiling your entire lives, like, into a core about, like, what do you guys, like, seeking for, like, it seems to, never mind. Yeah, the text, it appears on the stream, I guess. fascinating. But mostly like for you guys, like, you know, it's mental things that you're struggling with, and like, you know, you want to like get help for it. Because like I have also like observed it myself too, that like, you know, people in my age, and especially over here in virtual reality, they just have a lot of like issues with their mental health, and there's not a lot of help. Like you can go to a psychology or like to a psychology class and then like understand like what's wrong with you, but then they don't give you really anything to help with it, maybe some meds or something like that. But then it's like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like going to a car repair shop and like they check your car, like, you know, what's wrong with it, but then they don't fix it. And they're like, here, take a wrench and like go and fix it yourself. And it's like, what? And it's like so frustrating, maybe for a lot of people, especially for me too, that like, you know, like one of the things that like, you know, was told me too, that like, you know, oh, you could do meditation. It's like, yeah, okay, let me try it. And then like, you know, I watched a couple of videos and I have no idea, like, you know, how to do it, and like, you know, what is it even about. And then like after like, you know, doing it a couple times, I kind of understood what it was about. But then like, you know, I started researching more about it, and then I just stumbled across like entire like iceberg of things, because like meditations are like really deep. It gets really deep, like, you know, what you can do with meditations and so on. And it's what you can actually do with meditations are like so eye-opening. And that's what I really want to do over here, is that like, you know, kind of like teach people like, you know, the power of meditation, and then give a place for people to practice it. Because if I would ask for myself what I do seek for, I myself seek for being at help for people around me. Like always, that has always been a core thing about like for me, like for years now, because I learned it the hard way, that if I'm not a person who cannot help, then people around me are gonna suffer, and then I can't do anything about it. So I want to be a person who can help people around me. And I wanted to help people with in a form that is free for them, that like, you know, that the products that I do are free and they are things that they need. So at the moment, like I'm a traffic engineer, so not actually studying this as a like a field of study itself, but I've been like, you know, studying the field of traffic for 4 years now almost. And the reason why is just because like I want to create a society where people can live more financially free, that they don't have to use, for example, cars, and they can like walk or use a bike to get to work, so that they can like, you know, have more financial freedom. And later on I just realized that like, you know, that I'm just designing like 1,000 roads to 1,000 random directions. But then later on I realized that like, you know, instead of doing that, you could design one road to one destination where one person goes to can find ultimate peace and tranquility. That there doesn't need to be 1,000 roads, there can just be one. Because there are like a lot of people who talk a lot, like they use 100 words to explain one thing. But instead of using 100 words, you can use one word, and then like everyone gets a win from that, because like everyone saves time, energy, and they can focus on more things about their own lives. So that's what I'm wanting to do over here, is to actually like provide some stuff for people for free, what will actually help people to attain freedom from their own hindrances of life. And that's the motivation for me, is that like that my personal experiences where I couldn't help, even though I could have help, but I couldn't. I just didn't have the capacity inside of me. And now I'm a person who wants to like actually like, you know, put an effort into that I am like, you know, just building myself and cultivating myself into that kind of form. But then I also cannot do it alone, that to help other people. So at the same time, I'm also seeking for an entire community of people, what this kind of community is, to help me also, like, you know, to understand better what I'm even talking about. Because like when I'm at the stage, I don't really 100% understand what I'm talking about. But at least there's like a couple of people over here who might understand what I'm talking about, and at the same time can correct my mistakes, and then also at the same time I learn. So even though from your point of view, like, here's a big guy like on a stage and I'm gonna like teach you guys how you do the stuff, but it's actually might be the opposite way around too, because like, you know, you guys are also like all my teachers, and then I'm also a student over here trying to understand, like, you know, how to do this and how to help people in general, because I wanted to understand like what are you guys like trying to look for over here, and the things that you're trying to, like, what you guys are finding from here are not, you're not gonna find money, you're not gonna find yachts, hamburgers. I don't think so. There might be something on inside of the ball over there, but let me check. No, there's not. Aw, very sad. But the things that you will find from here are like a community of people who want to practice meditation and wholesomeness and virtue. What else? There's a lot of words that I could use, but in essence of these kind of topics. And it really brings me to a really famous Buddhist simile. A simile is like a short story, I guess. Ooh. And it's one of my favorites, because like in Buddhism, they really teach a lot that, like, you know, that you are mostly responsible for making yourself the person that you want to be. They mostly teach that a lot, that like the external world is an external world, but you can divide the entire world into two parts, the world that you control and the world that you don't control. And the world that you don't control is much, much more bigger than you think. It's not only the nation or, like, you know, the other people in your life, it's even your body, even your nails. They grow on you without your actual input on it. They just grow automatically. Of course, you can cut them and so on, but, like, you know, they just grow automatically. But it's also the human mind. There's a lot of stuff about the human mind that just happen automatically, and you don't really have a lot of control over it. But what you have control over are really minimal. They are just the reaction that you have towards the things that happen in your life. And, like, are you going to, like, you know, see them as positive or negative or neutral? And what is your action, like, you know, for the current situation that you're having? And only like these small little things that I just said are like the core aspect of what makes you and what makes people and what makes your character. And but in Buddhism, they also, like, you know, teach about, like, you know, having friends, and, like, you know, of course you're not supposed to do this entire thing alone. And during the time of Buddha, he had a disciple called Ananda, and he was a person who kind of remembered everything that Buddha was saying. Oh, this is like how it's told. He might have had like an actual, like, you know, brain that just remember that, like, you know, what people are saying, because there are some mystical people out there just can do like extraordinary stuff. There's people who can read books just by flipping them through, and there's people who can remember all things that have been told. And Ananda seemed to be one of those people just who remembered everything that, like, you know, Buddha said. And there was this one famous time when he got Buddha's, like, one of his notions wrong, and he said that that the spiritual path, or like half of the spiritual path, is done with friends and done with your community. And at that point, Buddha was kind of surprised. He was like, what? Like, you know, you got it wrong? And then he said, no, Ananda, no. The whole of the spiritual path is done with the community that you have and the friends that you have. And then he went into really, like, you know, confused state, like, you know, how can you teach that, like, you know, the external world is the external world, and then the internal world and internal world, and then you have to control the internal world, and how does the external world have the most say about your internal world? But that is a topic for another day, because we could talk about this for hours and hours. But that is still quite true, that the people that you surround yourself with and the things that you surround yourself, the content that you watch, the music that you listen to, the stuff that you eat, and the things that happen in your life, the career choices that you make, the job that you're going to, like all of these things really shape you as who you are. And the most important things are the things that make you happy. And the things in the external world that make you happy are the things that direct you towards that direction itself. So if you have friends that make you happy and they like doing drugs, there's a high likely chance that you're going to do drugs also. But if you have friends that are anchored in virtue, anchored in wholesomeness, in loving kindness, and just trying to be the opposite of toxicity, then also you're going to radiate also yourself to these energies and also be more loving and kind and more virtuous yourself too. So I like to end my talk always by asking people for a summary, that what did you guys take from this talk itself. So is there anyone that wants to say that, like, you know, did someone learn something from this talk itself before we go to the meditation? Or was it super boring? Who fell asleep? No one's admitting. You don't need to be afraid of me. It was good. Okay, that's great. That's great to hear. But that's something that I want you to guys to take home with you. That, like, you know, that the things that you consume on your daily basis, and the people and the friends that you have around you, and then things that make you happy, are the things that are shaping you to be who you are. And that's why you should be mindful, and you should be curious about your own character and the things that make you you and what make you happy. Because if you're just going with the flow and just going towards the things that make you happy without sticking questioning it, you're just in a lazy river, just flowing with the flow. But don't be surprised to fall off a waterfall itself. So there are those people that like to go with the flow, but sometimes you need to be aware of the flow and where the flow is going, and if you can do something to change that a little bit. But I think now it's time for a guided meditation, the main thing, maybe perhaps what you guys were coming to over here.